There's a moment in history that makes absolutely no sense. A paradox so staggering it demands an answer. 1918. Germany lay shattered, crushed beneath the Treaty of Versailles. Then came the Great Depression like a second apocalypse. 6 million unemployed, a 30% unemployment rate, national income plummeting 40%. Germany wasn't just poor, it was an economic corpse. Yet less than 20 years later, that same broken nation fielded the most powerful military machine Europe had ever seen. Tanks by the thousands, fighter planes blackening the skies, industrial output so overwhelming it seemed impossible. The world didn't see it coming. Britain didn't see it. France didn't see it. So how? How does a bankrupt nation that couldn't feed its own people suddenly produce enough steel and machinery to conquer a continent? The answer is economic sorcery, a magic trick in 2 parts. The Autobahn, highways spanning the entire nation, connecting every city, schools rising, dams holding back rivers, hundreds of thousands flooding construction sites, cement factories running day and night, steel mills blazing around the clock. Unemployment collapsed from 30% to nearly zero at breathtaking speed. Foreign observers were impressed. Look at what Germany has achieved. They said, perhaps we misjudged Hitler. Perhaps he's focused on domestic recovery, not aggression. That's exactly what Hitler wanted them to believe. Because while everyone watched the roads being built, something else was happening in the shadows. Hitler appointed Hjalmar Schacht, perhaps Germany's most brilliant economist, as Reichsbank president. His secret mission: rearm Germany, in complete secrecy, without triggering inflation, without violating the Treaty of Versailles detectably. It was impossible. Germany had no money. Printing money would cause hyperinflation. That nightmare couldn't be repeated. And if Britain or France discovered German rearmament, they'd intervene immediately, militarily if necessary. They needed to spend billions. Invisibly, Schacht found a way, a financial sleight of hand so audacious it would fool the world's best economists for years. He created a phantom company called MEFO, the Metallurgical Research Corporation. It existed only on paper, no factories, no employees, a bust. Here's how the sorcery worked. The government ordered military equipment, tanks, planes, weapons, from private companies, real factories, real production, but instead of paying with cash, MEFO issued promissory notes, bills redeemable in 5 years, paying 2% interest. Now here's the critical question. Why would anyone trust paper from a phantom company with zero assets? Because the Reichsbank, Germany's central bank, guaranteed every single MEFO bill. The full faith and credit of the German state stood behind them. Suddenly, MEFO bills became shadow currency, not official money, invisible money that didn't appear in any government budget. Companies accepted them, traded them. A tank manufacturer used MEFO bills to buy steel. The steel company bought coal. The coal mine bought equipment. The bills circulated through Germany's economy like real money, because they were real money, just invisible. Here's the genius, the dark brilliance that makes this so horrifying. None of this appeared in government books. Officially, Germany's military spending showed no increase. British and French economists monitoring German finances saw nothing suspicious. A nation rebuilding infrastructure, solving unemployment, military spending, within treaty limits. Nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, billions of marks in MEFO bills flooded the German economy, funding tank factories, airplane manufacturers, weapons production, submarine construction. Germany was printing money without printing money, creating purchasing power from thin air, fueling massive rearmament that, on paper, to anyone watching from outside, simply didn't exist. It was financial alchemy, the greatest magic trick of the 20th century. Hitler didn't just rebuild Germany's economy, he weaponized accounting itself, preparing for global war while the world applauded his miracle. By the time anyone realized what had happened, the Wehrmacht was already rolling across Europe. The wizard had fooled everyone. The breaking point, 36. By 1936, 2 years into the rearmament program, Hitler demanded more, much more, faster production, more weapons, more tanks, more planes, more submarines, more everything. Production must increase immediately, he ordered. Germany must be ready for war within 4 years. Schacht was horrified. If they kept issuing MEFO bills at this rate, Germany would be bankrupt by 1939. There was no way to pay them back. The system would collapse. Hyperinflation would return. Everything they had built would crumble. He confronted Hitler directly. "We must slow down," he said. "We must reduce military spending and shift to civilian production," he said. "If we continue like this, Germany will be ruined," he said. "The magic trick only works if we stop before the audience figures it out," he said. Hitler listened, and then Hitler removed him from power. Schacht was replaced with more compliant officials, men who understood that questioning the Führer was dangerous, men who would do what they were told without asking uncomfortable questions about sustainability or consequences, and the production of military equipment exploded. MEFO bills flooded the economy. The printing presses of phantom currency ran day and night. The invisible money supply expanded exponentially. The bomb was ticking, louder now, faster, because Hitler, unlike Schacht, never intended to pay the bills back normally. Hitler was not an economist planning for long-term stability. Hitler was a conqueror planning for short-term domination. Hitler had a different repayment plan, a plan that was obvious once you understood what he was building. War, conquest, plunder, invade other nations, loot their treasuries, seize their resources, enslave their populations, use their wealth to pay Germany's debts. It was not an economic plan. It was a robbery plan on a continental scale. And if that failed, if Germany lost, then Germany would collapse anyway. So what did it matter? Why not gamble everything on conquest? Why not bet the entire nation on military victory? The MEFO system, the shadow currency, the invisible rearmament, it was never designed to be sustainable. It was designed to launch a war, and by 1936, war was no longer a choice. It was a necessity, the only way to prevent economic implosion. Germany had built a machine that could only run forward, and forward meant war. Inevitable, necessary, catastrophic war. The world still did not see it, still did not understand what Hitler had built in the shadows. But the clock was ticking, and time was running out. The 4-year plan, the final preparations. Hitler understood something critical from World War I, something the generals had learned in blood and starvation. When war began, the Allies would immediately blockade Germany's ports. No imports, no oil, no rubber, no copper, no raw materials from overseas. Germany would be cut off, isolated, strangling. World War I had nearly broken Germany through blockade alone. Starvation, resource shortages, industrial collapse. Hitler remembered, Hitler learned. So if Germany was going to wage another war, it had to be ready, prepared, self-sufficient, able to survive complete isolation from global trade. In 1936, the same year he pushed Schacht aside, Hitler announced the 4-year plan. Transform Germany into a war-ready, self-sufficient economy within 4 years. By 1940, Germany must be capable of fighting a war while completely cut off from the rest of the world. And he created a new government agency to oversee it. The 4-year plan office. Here is what made it terrifying. What revealed that Hitler was no longer even pretending to prepare for peace. The 4-year plan office was above every other government ministry. It had absolute authority over the entire German economy. Every resource, every factory, every worker, everything. And its director was not an economist. It was Hermann Göring, a military general, a man who understood war, not economics, a man loyal to Hitler above all else. The entire German economy had become an extension of the military. Every policy, every decision, every resource allocation, all of it served one purpose: war preparation. The mask was slipping, the trick was becoming visible, but the world still was not paying attention. Creating resources from nothing, the mission was clear, brutally clear. Expand military production to maximum capacity. And if Germany lacked the resources to do it, then create those resources. Invent them. Make the impossible possible through science and willpower. Germany lacked 2 critical resources that every modern military needs: oil and rubber. So Hitler mobilized Germany's scientists, chemists, engineers, the best technical minds in the nation, and he gave them an impossible task. Create oil where there is no oil. Create rubber where there are no rubber trees. Transmute base materials into strategic resources. Perform alchemy. And terrifyingly, they succeeded. They developed the Fischer-Tropsch process, a method for producing synthetic oil from coal. Germany had coal, vast amounts of coal, so they would make oil from coal. It was expensive, wildly inefficient. The synthetic oil cost several times more than imported oil, but it worked. It burned. It powered engines. They developed synthetic rubber from petroleum products, called Buna rubber. Again, expensive and less effective than natural rubber, but functional. Tires could be made, seals could be produced. The war machine could roll on synthetic rubber if necessary. They researched synthetic fibers to replace cotton and wool, developed techniques to refine low-grade iron ore that other nations would consider worthless, invented substitutes for materials they could not obtain through trade. It was an engineering marvel, a scientific achievement, and a sign of desperation, because you only create expensive, inefficient substitutes for critical resources if you know those resources will be unavailable, if you know you will be cut off, if you know you are preparing for war. But the world saw German scientific innovation, German engineering prowess, German chemical breakthroughs. They did not see the desperation behind it. They did not understand what it meant. The barter economy, trading wall broke, and Hitler pursued trade aggressively, stockpiling resources while he still could. Before the blockade, before the war, before the world realized what Germany was preparing. But Germany had a problem. No foreign currency, no gold, no dollars, no British pounds. The foreign exchange reserves were empty. So how do you trade when you have no money? Hitler's answer was simple. Rearmament. Audacious. Trade the way humans traded for thousands of years before currency was invented. Barter. Direct exchange. Goods for goods.